Unexpected encounter. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Jack Harper as he piloted his cargo ship, the Stellar Wanderer, through the outer reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy. The steady hum of the engines and the occasional beep from the control panel were his only companions on this long-haul journey. Jack had been a cargo pilot for the better part of a decade, and the solitude of space had become his home. As he absently flicked through the ship's diagnostics, a sudden jolt rocked the Stellar Wanderer. Warning lights flashed across the console, bathing the cockpit in an eerie red glow. Jack's hands flew across the controls, his heart racing as he tried to make sense of the situation. "What the hell?" he muttered, watching as system after system began to fail. The ship's AI, usually a constant presence, fell silent. Jack felt a chill run down his spine as the realization hit him. He was alone, adrift in space, with no idea what had caused the malfunction. As the Stellar Wanderer drifted, Jack worked tirelessly to restore power. Hours passed, and frustration began to set in. He had never encountered a problem he couldn't fix, but this was different. It was as if something had completely drained the ship's energy. Just as he was about to give up hope, a faint glimmer caught his eye. It wasn't coming from any of the ship's systems, but from deep within the cargo hold. Curiosity overrode caution, and Jack found himself moving towards the source of the light. The cargo hold was filled with crates and containers, each carefully secured for the long journey. But as Jack moved deeper into the hold, he realized that one of the containers was different. It pulsed with a soft, ethereal light that seemed to dance across its surface. With trembling hands, Jack approached the container. As he reached out to touch it, the top suddenly slid open, releasing a burst of radiant energy that momentarily blinded him. When his vision cleared, Jack found himself face to face with the most beautiful creature he had ever seen. She was clearly not human. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent glow, and her eyes were a deep, swirling violet that seemed to contain entire galaxies. Long, silvery hair floated around her as if she were suspended in water. For a moment, Jack forgot how to breathe. The alien woman regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. When she spoke, her voice was like music, resonating in Jack's mind rather than his ears. "You are not the one who imprisoned me," she said, her head tilting slightly as she studied him. Jack swallowed hard, finding his voice. "No, I'm just the pilot. Jack Harper. I didn't know you were here. I don't even know how you got here." The alien woman gracefully stepped out of the container, her movements fluid and otherworldly. "I am Zora," she said, her gaze never leaving Jack's face. "I was betrayed by those I once called allies and sent adrift in this container. Your ship must have intercepted my prison." As Zora moved, Jack noticed that the ship's systems began to flicker back to life. Realization dawned on him. "You're the reason my ship lost power," he said, not accusingly, but with a sense of awe. Zora nodded, a look of regret crossing her features. "My containment field drew energy from your vessel. I apologize for the inconvenience, Jack Harper. It was not my intention to endanger you." Jack ran a hand through his disheveled hair, trying to process the situation. He was used to transporting cargo, not beautiful alien women who could apparently drain the power from his ship. "So, what happens now?" he asked, acutely aware of how out of his depth he was. Zara's expression turned serious. "Now we must prepare. Those who imprisoned me will not give up easily. They will come for me, and your ship, your world, may be caught in the crossfire." As if on cue, a distant alarm began to sound from the cockpit. Jack's eyes widened as he realized the implications of Zora's words. He was no longer just a cargo pilot on a routine mission. He was now involved in something far bigger, far more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. "Well," Jack said, a wry smile tugging at his lips despite the gravity of the situation, "I always did want a little excitement in my life." Zora looked at him, surprise and perhaps a hint of admiration in her otherworldly eyes. "You are either very brave or very foolish," Jack Harper. Jack shrugged, already moving towards the cockpit with a newfound sense of purpose. Maybe a bit of both. Come on, let's see what we're up against. As they made their way to the bridge, Jack couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. He was just one human, caught up in an intergalactic conflict he barely understood. But as he glanced at Zara, saw the determination in her eyes, he knew that he wouldn't have it any other way. The adventure was just beginning, and Jack Harper was ready to show the universe what humanity was made of. Uneasy alliance. The Stellar Wanderer's bridge hummed with renewed energy as Jack slid into the pilot's seat, his fingers dancing across the newly revived control panels. Zara stood beside him, her ethereal presence a stark contrast to the utilitarian design of the human vessel. "Looks like we got company," Jack muttered, his eyes fixed on the long-range scanner. 3 blips appeared at the edge of the display, moving with purpose towards their position. "Friends of yours, I take it." Zara's expression darkened, her violet eyes narrowing. "The Sentinel Armada. They are relentless in their pursuit of what they call galactic order. My people have long stood against their tyranny." Jack raised an eyebrow, glancing at his unexpected passenger. "And what exactly did you do to tick them off so badly?" "I stole something," Zara replied, her voice tinged with a mix of pride and regret. "Information that could topple their entire regime. That's why they fear me, why they'll stop at nothing to recapture me." Jack let out a low whistle. "Great. So I've gone from hauling cargo to harboring a wanted fugitive. Any other surprises I should know about?" Zara placed a hand on the control panel, and Jack watched in amazement as the ship's systems seemed to respond to her touch, displays flickering with new information. "Your vessel is primitive by my standards, but it has potential. With some modifications, we might stand a chance of outrunning them." "Whoa, hold on," Jack protested, batting her hand away from the controls. "This ship may be primitive to you, but she's my home. You can't just go rewiring things without my say-so." Zara's eyes flashed with annoyance. "Would you prefer to be captured by the Sentinels? I assure you, their hospitality leaves much to be desired." For a moment, they glared at each other, the air thick with tension. Then Jack sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Fine, but we do this my way. You tell me what needs to be done, and I'll do it. Deal?" Zara nodded, a hint of respect crossing her features. "Very well, Jack Harper. Let us begin." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Jack found himself crawling through maintenance shafts, rerouting power conduits, and integrating alien technology he could barely comprehend. Zara's knowledge was vast, but her impatience with human limitations was evident. "No, not like that," she chided as Jack struggled to connect a glowing crystal to the ship's power core. "If you align it incorrectly, you could vaporize half the ship." Jack gritted his teeth, sweat beading on his forehead. "Well, excuse me for not having an advanced degree in alien engineering. A little patience wouldn't kill you, you know." Zara's expression softened slightly. "I apologize. I forget sometimes how different our worlds are. Perhaps we could both benefit from a little patience." As they worked, Jack couldn't help but steal glances at Zara. Despite her otherworldly beauty, there was something profoundly sad in her eyes, a weight that spoke of burdens he could scarcely imagine. "So," he ventured, hoping to break the tension, "what's your world like? Your people?" Zara paused, her hand hovering over a control panel. "My homeworld, Lumina, was a place of great beauty and knowledge. We were peaceful, focused on exploration and understanding the cosmos. But the Sentinels," her voice trailed off, heavy with emotion. Jack felt a pang of sympathy. "They destroyed it?" "Worse," Zara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "They corrupted it, turned my people against each other. Those who resisted were exiled or worse. I may be the last free Luminan in the galaxy." The weight of her words hung in the air, and Jack found himself at a loss. He was just a cargo pilot, used to dealing with manifests and trade routes, not intergalactic conflicts and the fate of entire civilizations. And yet, looking at Zora, he felt a fierce determination growing within him. "Well," he said, his voice firm, "they're not getting you without a fight. I may not know much about your conflict, but I know bullies when I see them. And where I come from, we don't take kindly to bullies." Zora looked at him, surprise and something like hope flickering in her eyes. "You would risk your life for me, for a cause that is not your own." Jack shrugged, a lopsided grin on his face. "What can I say? Us humans have a bit of a hero complex. Besides, someone's got to show you aliens that we're not as primitive as you think." A small smile tugged at Zora's lips, the first Jack had seen. It transformed her face, making her seem less alien, more real. "Perhaps there is more to your species than I first believed, Jack Harper." Their moment of understanding was shattered by a sudden blaring alarm. Jack rushed to the cockpit, Zora close behind. The long-range scanner was alight with activity, the 3 blips now much closer and moving fast. "Looks like our time's up," Jack said, sliding into the pilot's seat. "Let's see what this souped-up rust bucket can do." As the Stellar Wanderer's engines roared to life, pulsing with newfound power, Jack felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. He was about to go head-to-head with advanced alien warships, armed with nothing but a modified cargo vessel and a mysterious alien fugitive at his side. But as he glanced at Zora, saw the determination in her eyes matching his own, he knew that this was where he was meant to be. Whatever came next, they would face it together. "Hang on," Jack said, his hands tightening on the controls. "Things are about to get interesting." The Stellar Wanderer shot forward, streaking into the vast unknown of space, with the Sentinel Armada in hot pursuit. The true test of their uneasy alliance was about to begin. Escape and pursuit. The Stellar Wanderer buckled and groaned as Jack pushed it to its limits, the ship's newly modified engines pulsing with an otherworldly energy. The vastness of space stretched before them, punctuated by the ominous blips on the radar that represented the pursuing Sentinel Armada. "We can't outrun them forever," Jack said through gritted teeth, his hands white-knuckled on the controls. "Any bright ideas?" Zora's eyes were closed, her face a mask of concentration. "There's a nearby asteroid field," she said, her voice strained. "If we can reach it, we might be able to lose them in the chaos." Jack glanced at her, noting the faint glow emanating from her skin. "How do you know that?" "There's nothing on our charts." "I can sense it," Zora replied, opening her eyes. They swirled with an intense, cosmic energy. "My people have a connection to the fabric of space itself. It's how we navigate, how we survive." "Right," Jack muttered, shaking his head. "Alien space magic. Why not?" He adjusted their course, aiming for a seemingly empty quadrant of space. "I hope you know what you're doing." As if on cue, a massive field of asteroids materialized before them, ranging from small, jagged rocks to planetoids the size of small moons. Jack's eyes widened at the sight. "Holy, how did we not detect this?" "The field is shrouded in a natural phenomenon my people call the veil," Zora explained. "It distorts sensors and visual perception. The Sentinels won't be able to track us easily here." Jack nodded, a grim smile on his face. Time to see if all those years of smuggling runs paid off. He eased the ship into the field, weaving between asteroids with a mixture of skill and reckless abandon. The pursuing ships entered the field behind them, their sleek designs ill-suited for the tight maneuvering required. Jack watched with satisfaction as one of the smaller vessels clipped an asteroid, spinning off course in a shower of sparks. "Not so tough now, are they?" he quipped, ducking the Stellar Wanderer under a massive, slowly rotating rock. Zora gripped her seat, her ethereal features tightened with tension. "Don't underestimate them, Jack. The Sentinels are." She was cut off as a brilliant beam of energy lanced past the ship, narrowly missing them and vaporizing an asteroid ahead. Persistent, Jack finished for her, throwing the ship into a barrel roll to avoid the debris. Got it. As they delved deeper into the asteroid field, Jack found himself relying more and more on Zara's uncanny ability to predict the movement of the celestial bodies around them. It was as if she could see patterns in the chaos, guiding them through impossibly narrow gaps and around hidden dangers. Left, she suddenly shouted. Jack didn't hesitate, wrenching the controls hard to port. A massive asteroid tumbled past them, right where they had been moments before. Thanks, Jack breathed, his heart pounding. That was too close. Zara nodded, but her expression was troubled. Jack, there's something you need to know. About who I am, why the Sentinels are so determined to capture me. Jack raised an eyebrow, deftly maneuvering around a cluster of smaller rocks. Kind of busy at the moment, but sure, why not? Always a good time for life-changing revelations when you're flying through a deadly asteroid field. Zara took a deep breath, her luminous skin pulsing with energy. I am not just any Luminen. Was to be the next cosmic arbiter of my people, a being of immense power, capable of shaping the very fabric of space and time. Jack's eyes widened, his grip on the controls tightening. Okay, that's a lot to process. So you're basically a space goddess. Not quite, Zara said, a hint of amusement in her voice despite the gravity of the situation. But close enough. The Sentinels fear what I might become, what my people might achieve if we were to reach our full potential. That's why they attacked Lumina, why they hunted us to near extinction. As if to punctuate her words, another energy beam sliced through space, closer this time. Jack could feel the heat of it even through the ship's hull. Well, Your Highness, he said, his voice tight with tension. Any chance you could use some of that cosmic power to get us out of this mess? Zara's expression darkened. My powers are limited. The container you found me in wasn't just a prison, it was a dampening field. It will take time for me to regain my full abilities. Great, Jack muttered. So we're stuck with good old-fashioned human ingenuity. Lucky for you, I've got that in spades. His eyes scanned the chaotic field around them, searching for an advantage. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Hold on tight, he warned. This might get a little rough. Jack banked the ship hard, aiming for a massive, irregularly shaped asteroid ahead. As they approached, a deep fissure became visible in its surface. Without hesitation, Jack plunged the stellar wanderer into the crack, the ship's hull scraping against rock as they descended into darkness. Are you insane? Zara gasped, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. Probably, Jack grinned, his face illuminated by the glow of the instrument panels. But if I'm right, this asteroid is hollow, and we can lose them inside. The passage widened, opening into a vast cavern within the asteroid. Crystalline formations jutted from the walls, refracting what little light there was into a dazzling display. Jack cut the main engines, letting the ship drift silently in the ethereal space. Now we wait, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Their sensors won't be able to penetrate this deep. We can catch our breath, maybe plan our next move. Zara nodded, her eyes taking in the beauty of their surroundings. This is remarkable. You continue to surprise me, Jack Harper. Jack leaned back in his seat, allowing himself a moment of relief. Well, someone's got to show you cosmic beings that us humans aren't to be underestimated. As the adrenaline of their escape began to fade, Jack found himself studying Zara with new eyes. She was no longer just a beautiful alien woman, but a being of immense power and responsibility. The weight of her revelation hung between them, changing the dynamic of their uneasy alliance. So, Jack said, breaking the silence, what's our next move, Your Cosmic Majesty? Because something tells me those Sentinels aren't going to give up easily. Zara's gaze met his, filled with a mixture of determination and uncertainty. We need to find a way to restore my powers fully. There's a place, a nexus of cosmic energy, where I might be able to break free from the dampening effects. But reaching it won't be easy. Jack nodded, a wry smile on his face. Of course it won't. Nothing worth doing ever is. He gestured to the shimmering cavern around them. But hey, we've made it this far. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. As they sat in the belly of the asteroid, the stellar wanderer hidden from their pursuers, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. He was just a cargo pilot, caught up in events far beyond his understanding. But somehow it felt right. With Zara by his side, he was ready to take on the universe itself. Little did they know, their greatest challenges and revelations were yet to come. The turning point. The crystalline cavern within the asteroid had provided a temporary haven, but Jack and Zara knew it couldn't last forever. As they sat in the dim glow of the stellar wanderer's emergency lights, planning their next move, a faint tremor ran through the asteroid. Jack's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing. "Did you feel that?" Zara nodded, her luminous skin pulsing with a soft, worried light. "They're here. The Sentinels have found us." As if to confirm her words, a distant boom echoed through the cavern, sending showers of crystal fragments raining down around them. Jack leaped to his feet, rushing to the ship's controls. So much for the element of surprise. "Any ideas on how to get out of here?" Zara closed her eyes, reaching out with her diminished cosmic senses. "There's another opening on the far side of the asteroid. It's small, but nothing." Jack interrupted, firing up the engines. "Small is better than nothing. Hold on tight." The stellar wanderer roared to life, its modified engines casting an eerie glow throughout the cavern. Jack maneuvered the ship through the maze of crystal formations, each impact sending tremors through the hull. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. As they approached the far wall of the cavern, Jack spotted the opening Zara had sensed, a jagged crack barely wide enough for the ship to squeeze through. He gritted his teeth, aiming straight for it. This is going to be close. The ship shot towards the crack, metal screaming against rock as they forced their way through. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed they might be stuck, but then they burst free into open space, leaving the asteroid field behind. But their relief was short-lived. As soon as they cleared the asteroid, 3 Sentinel ships materialized around them, their weapons primed and ready. "Surrender the Arbiter," a cold, mechanical voice demanded over the comm system. "Resistance is futile." Jack's mind raced, assessing their options. They were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and rapidly running out of tricks. But if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was thinking outside the box. "Zara," he said, his voice low and urgent, "you said your people have a connection to the fabric of space itself, right?" She nodded, her violet eyes wide with concern. "Yes, but my powers are still limited. I can't." "I don't need your powers," Jack interrupted, a reckless grin spreading across his face. "I need your knowledge. Can you tell me exactly where the edges of the veil are? The phenomenon hiding the asteroid field." Understanding dawned in Zora's eyes. "Yes, I can sense its boundaries." "But Jack, what are you planning?" "Something stupid," he replied, his hands flying over the controls. "Hold on." The stellar wanderer shot forward, weaving between the Sentinel ships with a burst of speed that caught them off guard. Jack pushed the engines to their limit, following Zora's directions as she called out the unseen boundaries of the veil. "Left. Now right. Dive." Her voice was tense but steady, trusting in whatever mad plan Jack had concocted. The Sentinel ships gave chase, their superior technology allowing them to close the gap quickly. Energy beams lanced past the stellar wanderer, each near miss causing the ship to shudder. "We're almost there," Zora said, her voice tight with anticipation. "The edge of the veil is just ahead, but Jack, I don't understand what you're—" "Now," Jack shouted, cutting her off. In one smooth motion, he cut the main engines and fired the maneuvering thrusters, sending the ship into a wild spin. At the same time, he reversed the polarity on the ship's deflector shields, a trick he'd learned from an old smuggler years ago. The effect was immediate, and spectacular. As they crossed the boundary of the veil, the stellar wanderer acted like a bubble wand, pulling a massive section of the spatial distortion with them. The pursuing sentinel ships, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the phenomenon, flew straight into it. Alarms blared across their pursuers' ships as sensors failed and navigation systems went haywire. Two of the vessels collided, their sleek hulls crumpling under the impact. The third spun out of control, disappearing back into the asteroid field. Inside the stellar wanderer, Jack whooped with triumph, bringing the ship back under control. How's that for primitive technology? Zara stared at him, her expression a mixture of awe and disbelief. That was. I've never seen anything like it. How did you know that would work? Jack shrugged, still grinning. I didn't, but sometimes you've got to take a leap of faith. It's kind of a human specialty. As the adrenaline of the moment began to fade, Zara's expression grew serious. Jack, what you did back there, it shouldn't have been possible. The way you manipulated the veil, it's something that even my people, with all our cosmic awareness, have never achieved. Jack's grin faded, replaced by a look of confusion. What are you saying? Zara leaned forward, her eyes intense. I'm saying that perhaps there's more to you, to humanity, than either of us realized. The Sentinels fear my people for our potential, but maybe they should be looking closer at Earth. The implications of her words hung heavy in the air. Jack sat back in his seat, his mind reeling. He was just a cargo pilot, wasn't he? But the events of the past few days had shown him capabilities he never knew he possessed. So, what now? He asked, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. Zara's gaze softened, a small smile playing at her lips. Now we find that nexus of cosmic energy I mentioned, not just to restore my powers, but to explore what this might mean for both our peoples. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of destiny settling on his shoulders. He had started this journey as a simple cargo pilot, but now he found himself at the center of something far greater, a potential alliance between humans and Luminans that could reshape the galaxy. Well then, he said, his confidence returning, let's not keep the cosmos waiting. As the stellar wanderer set course for the unknown, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them, with Zara by his side and the untapped potential of humanity as their secret weapon. The Sentinels had no idea what they were in for. A new beginning. The stellar wanderer drifted through a sea of swirling cosmic energy, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly light. Jack stood at the viewport, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the sight before him. The nexus of cosmic energy that Zara had spoken of was more beautiful and terrifying than he could have imagined. A massive, pulsating orb of pure creation and destruction. It's incredible, he breathed, turning to look at Zara. The Luminans stood beside him, her form seeming to resonate with the energy around them. Her eyes were closed, her face a mask of concentration. This is it, she said softly. The source of my people's power, and perhaps the key to unlocking humanity's true potential. Jack nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. So, what do we do now? Zara opened her eyes, fixing Jack with an intense gaze. We must connect with the Nexus. Both of us. Your actions have shown that humans possess a unique ability to manipulate cosmic forces, even if you don't fully understand it yet. Together, we might be able to channel enough energy to not only restore my powers, but to forge a new path for both our peoples. Jack swallowed hard, suddenly feeling very small in the face of such cosmic significance. And if it doesn't work? A small smile played at Zara's lips. Then we add another chapter to your growing list of impossible escapes. Are you ready? Jack took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. As I'll ever be. Let's do this. They made their way to the airlock, Zara using her remaining powers to create a protective bubble around them. As the airlock cycled open, they stepped out into the swirling maelstrom of cosmic energy. The sensation was indescribable. Jack felt as if every atom of his being was singing, resonating with the fundamental forces of the universe. Beside him, Zara began to glow, her form becoming more radiant with each passing moment. "Focus, Jack," her voice echoed in his mind. "Reach out with your thoughts, your instincts. Feel the energy around you and draw it in." Jack closed his eyes, trying to quiet the awe and fear battling in his mind. He thought of Earth, of the vastness of space, of the incredible journey that had led him to this moment. Slowly, he began to sense the currents of energy flowing around him, through him. With a sudden clarity, he understood what he needed to do. Jack reached out, not with his hands, but with his will, grasping the cosmic energy and shaping it. He felt Zora doing the same beside him, their efforts intertwining, amplifying each other. A burst of light engulfed them, so bright that it was visible from light years away. When it faded, Jack found himself back inside the stellar wanderer, gasping for breath. Zara stood before him, transformed. Her beauty was now tempered with an aura of immense power, her eyes swirling with the mysteries of the cosmos. "It worked," Jack said, his voice filled with awe. You're the arbiter now, aren't you?" Zara nodded, a serene smile on her face. "Yes, but that's not all." She gestured to Jack, and he looked down at himself in shock. A faint glow emanated from his skin, and he could feel a new awareness thrumming through his veins. What happened to me?" he asked, flexing his fingers and watching sparks of energy dance between them. "You've awakened, Jack," Zora explained. "The potential that lay dormant in humanity has been ignited. You are the first, but not the last. Your people stand on the brink of a new era." Before Jack could respond, the ship's sensors blared a warning. A massive fleet of sentinel ships had appeared at the edge of the system, no doubt drawn by the burst of cosmic energy. Jack's first instinct was panic, but then a strange calm settled over him. He could sense the sentinel ships, could almost see the lines of probability stretching out before them. "They're afraid," he said, surprising himself. "They know something has changed." Zara nodded, moving to stand beside him at the control panel. "Indeed, the balance of power in the galaxy has shifted. But war is not the answer." She turned to Jack, her eyes shining with purpose. "Will you stand with me, to show them a better way?" Jack didn't hesitate. Always. Together, they reached out with their newfound powers. The stellar wanderer pulsed with energy, broadcasting a message of peace and unity to the Sentinel fleet. Images of Earth and Lumina, of the vast potential of cooperation between their peoples, flooded the Sentinel's communications. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the Sentinel ships began to power down their weapons. A message crackled through. We wish to talk." Jack let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding, a grin spreading across his face. "Well, would you look at that? Turns out the pen really is mightier than the sword. Or in this case, the cosmic energy manipulation is mightier than the space lasers." Zara laughed, the sound like music. "Your humor, Jack Harper, may yet be humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy." As they prepared to meet with the Sentinel leaders, Jack couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. From a chance encounter on a cargo run to standing at the precipice of a new age of galactic cooperation. "You know what," he said, turning to Zara, "when I signed up to be a cargo pilot, I never imagined I'd end up helping to broker peace between alien civilizations." Zara's eyes sparkled with amusement and affection. "The universe, it seems, had greater plans for you. For both of us." Jack nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility in equal measure. "So, what's next for us, O Cosmic Arbiter?" "More death-defying space chases, solving ancient galactic mysteries, opening an intergalactic coffee shop." Zara laughed again, shaking her head. "With you, Jack Harper, I suspect the possibilities are endless. But for now, let's focus on the task at hand. We have a galaxy to unite and a new chapter of history to write." As the stellar wanderer moved to dock with the Sentinel flagship, Jack felt a sense of profound rightness. He had started this journey as a simple cargo pilot, but he was ending it as something far greater, a bridge between worlds, a pioneer of humanity's cosmic destiny. Whatever the future held, he was ready to face it, with Zara by his side and the infinite potential of the cosmos at their fingertips. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning.